What is a communication mode? There are some different ways of defining a mode of communication. The simplest is the one that takes into account just the means, spoken or written. But this definition is less useful than a more common one, which considers three modes of communication: interpersonal, interpretative, and presentation. The interpersonal mode is the one that includes dialogue, where information exchange happens. It can be carried out by spoken words or by writing. For example, text messages in a mobile phone, emails. The message receiver is also an interlocutor, interacting with the transmitter. The interpretative mode, in its turn, includes communication in just one sense, from transmitter to receiver. The receiver interprets the transmitted message, which means that a single transmission can be understood differently by each receptor. It can be a spoken message, for example, a radio transmission, in which the receptor only listens, not interacting with the transmitter. Or a written message, for example, a newspaper article, where the reader does not interact with the author. The presentation mode is unidirectional as the interpretative mode, but has a target audience, multiple receptors. Communicating with an audience demands transmitters' knowledge about the audience, their expectations, their language, their previous knowledge. A presentation can also be written, for example, an article, a PowerPoint presentation, or spoken, making a speech, telling a story. There are best practices for each of these modes of communication, as well as best practices tailored for one in particular. Examples of best practices common for transmissions in all communication modes: treating the interlocutor or receptor with respect, looking for clarity when transmitting a message, getting receptors' feedback. Very often, feedback is indirect. It can be expressed, for example, through body language or tone of voice. In the interpretative and presentation modes, feedback is usually obtained just after the transmission has been completed. Among the best practices particular to each mode of communication, there are plenty of research about the presentation mode on how to prepare more efficient presentations. We'll talk a little bit about it in our next video: how to reduce the distance between transmitter and receiver. Until then.